when I bring the dog to different places and it's on an elevator, as an example, the reaction that people have when the door opens and it's me and the dog is pretty profound almost every time. Similarly, I like to think that if you're a bad guy and you turn the corner and you're looking to do something nefarious, and you turn the corner and you see Spot, you're probably going to choose an easier option, right? You don't know what Spot is capable of. From a psychological standpoint, we want the bad guys, at least, to think that it is equipped with a couple of machine guns and some other things, right? This space is protected by Spot. Go somewhere else.
Well, I love the San Gabriel Valley.
Welcome to the My SGV podcast.
So I grew up here and I still live in Alhambra.
I was raised in between Temple City and Alhambra.
Eventually resided in South San Gabriel.
Our mission is to capture and share the stories of the people of the San Gabriel Valley.
Monterey Park has pretty much been my whole life.
Well, I'm proud to say that I was born and raised in the San Gabriel Valley.
We believe our diversity is what makes the SGV great. And no matter where you are from in the San Gabriel Valley, you will feel welcome. All right, SGVers, welcome back to another episode of the My SGV podcast. Thank you for tuning in and spending this time with us. If you are new here, we bring you the stories of the people of the San Gabriel Valley. And if you are a returning listener, thank you so much for spending this time with us. Well, when I every time I see your name on the schedule, immediately what comes to mind is Terminator. Like that's just like natural because I hear the music and I see the dog. That's just it. I don't know. Is that a weird thing?
Nope, not at all. I get that all the time.
Do you?
Especially people in our generation.
Sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the natural evolution, right?
Yeah. So if you're wondering what that is, it's the robotic dog, and so the images that come to mind that I've seen of the dog at first were military applications. And maybe those were AI generated. I don't know, but they had like a rifle mounted on the dog.
Yep. Its original use was actually for military grade, as is drones as well. All military application, that's its origin. Unfortunately, figuring out a more effective way to win in war and battlefield situations.
We're going to get into your story, but before that, thank you to Paris Baguette for supplying the delicious pastries this week and every week for our guests. Go check them out in the city of San Gabriel on Las Tunas Boulevard and say hi to Jason and the crew for us. Imagine a world where cutting-edge technology meets unwavering dedication to safety and education. With over 25 years in automated security services and insurance claims adjusting, this visionary leader has been at the forefront of integrating drones and robotics into industries like real estate, construction, and insurance. Beyond business, he's passionate about nurturing the next generation, developing drone economics curricula for students from K through 12 to collegiate levels. His commitment to community and innovation is reshaping how we think about security and technology. Please welcome Jason Sewer, CEO of Drone Strategic Partners. Jason, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Great intro. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So we talked like months ago to, now it's April, and we spoke in December.
I know, it's like somebody hit the fast forward button.
it felt like a while, but now it's here, right? And I'm excited. Like actually when I first got the introduction to you and I was like, what is that? So briefly, can you share what is a Drone Strategic Partners?
So I started my career off as a claims adjuster.
Exciting. Because I was a claims adjuster too.
No, right? So you understand.
Yes.
Right. I was the guy that showed up after the bad thing happened, whether it's fire, water, natural disaster, or whatever the case may be, try to make the customer whole again, right? And for the record, I chose to play more of a Robin Hood approach to that as opposed to the standardized, we're going to nickel and dime you and not pay you, just as a reference point. We want the people to understand who I really am. Right?
Yeah.
So about 7 years ago, I started Drone Strategic Partners as a value-added service, really. Do inspection of rooftops and add 3D photogrammetry and things like that to help make the job easier for claims folks, speed up the process, and help clients get their money that much quicker. That since has taken us on a wild ride, as you can imagine, into the education space, into security. And primarily now that is really where we lay our head in the security space, combining all of our resources from the insurance experience and trying to protect people, assets, and save everyone money in the process.
Awesome. Thanks for summarizing that. I know it's a lot to summarize in a few words. And maybe the imagery that people are getting now are like dogs with mounted machine guns and armed drones, but that's just the movie stuff, right? Like you're
Correct. Correct. The only thing our drones and robots are equipped with are cameras.
Awesome.
It's the ultimate surveillance piece.
Well, Jason, this is my SGV podcast. So let's start with, what's your connection to the San Gabriel Valley?
So I've been lucky enough to live in Pasadena. I've also lived in San Gabriel. I've lived in Rosemead. And now we settled into West Covina. So I've had the great opportunity to do a lot of business and build relationships in this area. Some of those relationships have led to you and I meeting on shared mutual ground here in San Gabriel. So go Paris Baguette, by the way. I can second. Wonderful service. I mean, they really take care of you there, and the pastries are just off the charts.
Oh, so you've experienced cities. Whenever I hear those cities, I'm like, they have very different pockets and areas. Like you can be really, really nice and not so nice areas in all those cities.
Absolutely. Right. And I've been blessed to see different, because there's a different cultural appeal to each one of those towns as well. And Pasadena in and of itself has about 3 or 4 different personalities depending on where you're at. Right. So, and obviously, our heart goes out to all of the victims of the fires. I know that it's forever changed the landscape of the valley as a whole. And part of what we're looking to do is help rebuild a community, help people get what's rightfully theirs in the insurance space, and then protect what's rightfully theirs in situations that need that.
Yeah. Well, Jason, take us back to you as a child. What kind of child were you?
Quiet, shy. I was blessed enough to be good at sports, so I was able to develop my personality through that, with my teammates, the camaraderie, right? It's not just about me approach to life.
What sport?
Basketball and baseball.
Oh, baseball too. I played baseball too.
I was lucky enough to play a little bit of left field, and before I got too tall, I was a catcher.
That's so funny. I played those exact same positions.
Look at that.
But I'm only 5'10" on a good day. And for the listener, you're 6'4".
6'4".
Yeah.
So with the right shoes, maybe 6'5".
Okay, so you were sort of quiet, shy, but you played a lot of team sports, and you also played that into college as well, you said.
Yes. I was lucky enough to play at Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island. Developed some fantastic friendships and relationships, as you can imagine. And playing basketball in the Ivy League is a little bit different, or at least back then it was, right? You knew you weren't going to the NBA, and so you had a real approach to life balance as well. So I was blessed.
Jeremy Lin made it. But he chose actually to go to Harvard to get playing time.
And he is the real outlier. He carries the flag for a lot of us.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you just sort of glazed over going to Brown University. That's quite the accomplishment. Like, did you know you wanted to go there at an early age?
Well, thank you. I appreciate the kind words. I didn't. Like most kids, I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. I knew I liked basketball, and I knew, I had good parents. I had great parents that stressed the importance of good grades and, being well-balanced in my life approach. So that foundation is actually what led me to Brown. Once they started recruiting me at a basketball camp, it was kind of done. After that, all of the other recruiting schools kind of fell by the side after that.
I see. And what sort of experiences in your life led you to be, as you said, like the Robin Hood type adjuster?
I've always just been about doing the right thing, protecting those that need to be protected, right? And if you put those two together and apply it in an insurance space, the only way to really do that is to help people get their money. And so it felt often at times as if I was going against the grain with that type of thought process. So it just kind of occurred to me that it is more like Robin Hood instead of, the big bad insurance company. I want to be the guy that made it right on behalf of the client.
Were you often, as an adjuster, were you often going to your manager or supervisor and having to justify why you were going to pay something out?
Often. And I also became very creative within the confines of the authority that I had, if that makes sense.
Sure.
It's like, well, I can't do this, but I can do that, right? And sometimes that's enough. If people know that someone is working with them in the process, sometimes that's enough to bridge the gap.
I see. Okay. So I'm just sort of getting a picture of, who you are and your life experiences leading up to what you're doing now. So how long did you stay in insurance?
I still have a little bit of ties in insurance because it pairs very nicely with what we do in the protection space. That leads to risk management, and risk management is a friend of insurance. But I don't actively handle claims anymore. We just utilize our expertise to help guide clients in the right direction when necessary.
Can you share a journey that led you to establish Drone Strategic Partners and how your background in insurance influenced that?
Absolutely. So part of my job was to respond to catastrophic situations, whether they be hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. And I was on assignment actually in the Colorado area after a hailstorm in 2017. And I had a list of about 900 properties that I was responsible for inspecting.
One person?
One person.
Whoa.
Because you're stretched thin after a catastrophe. Everyone is, right? And so part of it is just making contact, touching base with the client, let them know that it's on the list, and if you want me to, put that at the top of the list, I'll do that for you. No problem, kind of thing. But it occurred to me that this process would be a lot more efficient with drones. And I could probably do the whole list of 900 in 2 to 3 weeks versus the 9 months it ended up taking me.
9 months. So explain, what does it entail to inspect a house without a drone?
It entails physically having to get up on every structure. And we did mostly commercial structures, which adds to this whole equation as well, right? So imagine trying to do a full inspection on a water treatment facility. That means I'm going to have to walk all of that interior, exterior. I'm going to have to walk around, and I'm going to have to make arrangements to get up on the roof, which might require a boom lift. It might require some strapping, whatever the case may be. So it's a very tedious process. And while you're even setting up a drone, I could have done the whole assessment and had a 3D mesh of the product by the time I would have just set up to do the inspection normally.
Wow.
So
okay.
About 1/10.
That's like no brainer.
It really is. It really is.
So you saw the need for it. You were experiencing it yourself.
Correct. And luckily I was able to apply a lot of this, my claims background put me in San Gabriel often. Lots of claims of all types.
Yeah, what kind of catastrophic claims would happen here, though?
Your daily type, not the the broader term of the word catastrophic, but more on the day-to-day basis. A fire, a kitchen fire at a restaurant, as an example, or a slip and fall incident, where we're required to help bridge the gap between the victim in the matter and our customer who owned the premises involved, right? Bridge that gap. So a lot of different scenarios in the community that kind of go unnoticed in the day-to-day, like hustle and bustle of things, right? These things, but they're very important, obviously, to make sure that people are taken care of properly in those situations.
Right. Okay. So was it this one experience of taking 9 months to do these 900 properties that was that the genesis of your idea?
That was the spark,
Okay.
for sure.
And then how long from the idea to actually, becoming reality?
Took about 6 months.
Oh, that's fast.
We had to figure out the logistics of it all. What I thought the business was going to be, by the time we were finished with the initial process, was no longer what the business ended up being.
Oh,
Just as far as how we would deliver the services, right? And the way that we ended up putting our business model together was to basically build a network of licensed drone pilots across the country,
okay.
rather than trying to hire these individuals on a one-off basis, one by one. There's only so much we can do, versus if we have a whole network and everyone knows that here's the criteria that we need for this type of job, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Here's the pricing, et cetera. Then now our possibilities are greatly expanded. So we apply that here locally as well. We have about 25 pilots in the San Gabriel Valley alone that we have access to, which is tremendous. And with our robotic dogs, now we're looking to do inspections in the highly damaged areas instead of the humans, so that we can keep people safe while we determine if there are any poisonous materials on site.
Wow, that's interesting. So you must have mounted analyzing gear on there, or sampling gear.
It's got a wonderful sensor that's built into the actual dog itself that can pick up about 5,000 different types of chemicals, from asbestos and lead to even more poisonous, even hazardous materials.
Wow. Well, as you say that, what goes in my mind is thinking like, how many things can an actual dog, because that's their nose, right? How many things could an actual dog detect? But they're going to be poisoned themselves if they're.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, okay. So you have this spark, and you bring it to fruition in 6 months, but it sort of changes along the way, right? And so am I correct in imagining that you thought you were going to provide this one service, and it sort of morphed into security?
Absolutely.
Okay. So how did that come about?
The way it came about, Russell, is take that initial thought process of starting in one place and then evolving to another place. We've never really changed that mindset. It's kind of how my brain works. Part of it, I guess, is stagnation equals death, that kind of approach, but also figuring out the absolute best way to put these services together to help the clients. And then obviously some of the finer details, right? Pricing and logistics and, workflow and all of that good stuff. But we like to have the approach that, as long as it fits within our skill sets, our expertise, and our networks, and we can help, why not?
Jason, we ask each guest to bring an item with them. What did you bring with you today?
We brought our robotic dog, which, by the way, Russell, we're going to have a contest.
A contest?
Try to figure out what we should name our wonderful dog.
Oh, okay.
Its patent name from Boston Dynamics is Spot. But for our purposes, we want to come up with something a little more trendy, we'll say.
Is that an acronym?
I think it is, but I don't know what it stands for.
Okay. And so talk about the dog. What are its capabilities? And yeah, so you were going to bring it up here, but we're going to show video of it. And you said it's about 75 pounds.
It's about 75 pounds with all the equipment. It is, as we said before, it's military style sturdy, meaning it's steel. It's equipped with 11 cameras, I believe. It's got
11 cameras.
Sensory
Wow.
detection. It's got object avoidance sensors. And then we can equip whatever accessory that is necessary, whether it's a robotic arm to grab things and for whatever purpose, grab samples, or even more advanced sensors than what we spoke of before to pick up even more chemicals with a higher level of detail. We can do all types of wonderful things. It can maneuver staircases. It can be great inside, outside. And it's a wonderful deterrent, in my opinion, for what would be criminals.
Maneuver staircases. That's pretty intense. What about like I'm sure it can balance. Like if you knock it right, it can stabilize itself.
Yes, correct. It'll stabilize itself and get right back to work.
What about speed and distance?
Picture a speed walk, about 3.5 miles an hour at top speed.
That's its top speed. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's not like a cheetah.
Correct. That's why we gotta have it's great to pair the drone with the dog.
Okay.
And now we have aerial space covered, right, with a broader periphery. But then also, as you're saying, we can respond much faster if necessary, because that'll move at about 17 miles an hour, 18 miles an hour.
Wow. Okay. So the dog can do all these maneuvers and patrol. And is it speaking with the drone, or like are they communicating?
We have a two-way communication device on it, to where our humans that are watching the feeds in real time can speak and receive communication.
Okay, so let's say there's a dog on a property. It's securing the property, and you can program it to walk a fence line, let's say. Mm-hmm. And if you've been hired or your company's hired to do this, there's somebody monitoring the cameras the whole time, or
yes,
an actual person.
Yes, we have a remote command center that their job is to do nothing but to monitor live security feeds of different types, including drones, the robotic dogs, any high resolution cameras, still cameras, whatever is necessary for that particular client. All of those feeds get pitched back to the command center, and there's a live person that is watching in real time that can respond accordingly.
Wow. Okay. So that answers my question of what's the difference, right? Like that's a huge upgrade to have a live person monitoring it.
Yeah.
And instead of like a camera that's mounted on a single point that pivots,
totally,
you have so much more range.
100%. And plus we don't want to eliminate the human touch, and we don't want to eliminate jobs from humans, right? That's not our goal. Our goal is to protect the humans, right? And the best way to bridge the gap between technology and the customers is the human touch. And so it's almost peace of mind knowing that in a worst case scenario, the remote command center, that operator can shut down the robotic dog if necessary, right? If there's a malfunction or something like that, our team will respond accordingly. But it's that human touch that bridges the gap.
And there's no, or are there non-lethal weapons on the dog?
There's a strobe light, and they're those high decibel kind of eardrum busting sounds that I couldn't mimic if I tried. We have those two options. Between that and the communication, the two-way communication ability, we can communicate with a would-be trespasser or a friendly compadre, whatever the case is, right? We can determine through those tools what's necessary and what's not. Ideally, we don't want to put this dog in a high traffic area, right? In my opinion, I don't think we're ready for that yet. But after hours, protection of a business, perfect. Community watch programs and stuff like that, absolutely. There'll come a day when I think these we'll be able to monitor in school spaces and things like that. But we need to bridge that gap and build the relationships first, in order to really gain the trust.
Can you talk about the visual impact of that? Is it imposing?
It is, right? Imagine, and I get this actually when I bring the dog to different places and it's on an elevator as an example, right? The reaction that people have when the door opens and it's me and the dog is pretty profound almost every time. Similarly, I like to think that if you're a bad guy and you turn the corner and you're looking to do something nefarious, and you turn the corner and you see Spot, you're probably going to choose an easier option, right? You don't know what Spot is capable of. And in, from a psychological standpoint, we want the bad guys, at least, to think that it is equipped with a couple of machine guns and some other things, right? This space is protected by Spot. Go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's interesting that you refer to it as the dog. Is that intentional? Or
it is, because we still don't have a name, and it's in the interim, it is the dog.
do people react to it as if it's like a regular dog? Do they try to interact with it, or
mixed? There's a lot of everything. There are some people that come right up to it, want to touch it, and we have to kind of whoa, easy, don't stick a finger in the wrong place, kind of thing, right? But then there are people who are taken aback and want to kind of scale the wall in the hallway on the way by to keep a much distance from them and the dog, and that's okay. That's what we expect. We know there's just going to be a process here of integration on a bigger level, right? Drones and robotics are kind of slowly becoming more of a normal entity, but it's just going to take some time.
So I get how you went to drones for security, but how did you first become aware of the dogs and then actually acquire them? Because is that a simple process? Could I just go to Boston Dynamic and get one?
There's nothing simple by any of this, Russell. How did I get into this? So I was lucky enough to be asked, we were Drone Strategic Partners, we were asked to be part of a project that included protecting one of our state's biggest provider of substations and energy in the state, right? So our task was to protect 212 substations in Northern California, and the project manager on the job already had the robotics, the command center, ballistic paneling, and other things to protect the physical structure of the substations, but they didn't have the drone surveillance piece. So it just so happens that for the project, the fact that we had the aforementioned network of pilots versus W-2 employees worked better for the project, and that's how we became integrated and exposed to the technology. Once we were done with that project, it occurred to me that we could probably apply this in a broader space on a more commercial level, and eventually from a home protection standpoint as well.
At first, when you were talking about power station, is that what you said?
Substation. Mm-hmm.
I was like, who's going to attack that? But now you're talking about defending against foreign attacks.
Enemies, foreign and domestic. And unfortunately, our domestic terrorism incidents have been on the rise. This is a trend that started last decade, right? Even prior to the pandemic, those numbers were going up, unfortunately. And my business partner that's what he does. He protects critical infrastructure. And so it just started a series of discussions with us, between the two of us, on how we can take what he does on the day-to-day and apply it in the insurance space and in other spaces that made sense. And we could bring this to the public and give them some real tools to protect themselves.
So your partner was already connected with the dogs.
Correct.
And Boston Dynamic, and you just merged those two.
Correct. That's a perfect way to look at it.
I see. So do you have a fleet of dogs and a fleet of drones?
Not yet. I've been fortunate enough to have good relationships with some of the service providers in the space and the national drone pilots that operate in the space. So we're able to find the right company and the right solution to deliver the business that we develop with the client, if that makes sense.
I see.
In the same way that a general contractor would hire a drywall person or a painter to get the job done for them.
Okay, now I have a better understanding. Okay. Wow. It seems like heads of state, government, even someone who's high net worth would want your services as well.
And we're picking up some momentum in both of those spaces. I'm particularly excited about the municipal space because that gives us more of an ability to help the community. And at the end of the day, if we're not helping the community, then what is this all about?
Sure. Well, I imagine there's a big educational piece to all of this. I want to get into that, but before that, let's take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Sometimes, even the best of us can slip up. That's why the law offices of Scott Wormuth are here to pick you back up again.
And while they strive to get you the biggest compensation possible, oh my gosh,
their main concern is your health and recovery. They work closely with doctors and insurance companies to make sure you get the proper medical treatment.
initial consultations are free, so give them a call.
At the law offices of Scott Wormuth, we're with you all the way.
I'm Scott Wormuth. We've been fighting for your rights for more than 40 years.
All right, we're back with Jason. Jason, before the break, we were getting into the educational piece of all this, both on the client side and also for students that you've developed. But before we get into that, when we come back from the break, we like to ask questions from this deck of cards called Icebreakers. And they're just a fun way for the audience to get to know us a little bit better. And I'll answer it as well. So the question, Jason, is what was the last foreign country you visited?
Costa Rica.
Oh, I've always wanted to go. Beautiful?
It's tremendous. It is everything tropical with mountains, wonderful beaches. I'm fortunate enough to have a buddy that owns a couple of pieces of property there, so I get to crash at his place for free.
Oh, nice.
It's as beautiful. It's as beautiful as you think it is.
So for pleasure, you went?
Absolutely. I would love to do business there, but we haven't built the bridge yet.
I see. Okay. Well, for me, that's easy. The listeners know. And you know, I go to Canada. So I was in Canada last week, 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So I go there multiple times a year.
Western or Eastern?
Central. Right above North Dakota. So huge floodplain, very flat. You can get on a 2-story building and see for, till the horizon starts to bend on a clear day. That kind of like big, huge sky. And the river flows, the Red River flows from North Dakota up into Manitoba, into the ocean up there. So it flows upwards, right? So they know from the snowpack in the spring whether or not there's going to be a flood, and they could just see it coming. It's pretty intense.
That is intense. Also counterintuitive going south to north.
Right? Yeah.
Pretty cool.
So if you're watching or listening, what's the last foreign country you visited? Let us know in the comments. So this educational piece, I imagine, like just as we're learning here, there must be a huge need to educate both the public and the client about what it is. Yeah?
100%. And it's a great way that you described it because the word educational can have multiple meanings. We're going to educate the clients on what we do, the most efficient way to do it, et cetera. But in the more traditional way of using the word educational, we're really making impact in the school systems. Here locally, we were part of the first ever drone fest that took place in Palm Springs a couple of weekends ago. One of the partners that's involved in that, a guy by the name of Skip Fredericks of Hollywood Drones, got out to ship. He's a tremendous dude. He teaches drone courses at Grossmont College. So our relationship with him has allowed us to have access to state-approved curriculums at the college level. And through our other partnerships, we have state-approved drone curriculums at the high school level, middle school, and elementary. So as an example, next week is spring break for most of the kids, right? Elementary and middle school, we're going to have a drone camp for them out in Palm Springs, have some drone soccer set up.
Drone soccer?
Drone soccer.
What is that?
Drone soccer is a whole rabbit hole, Russell.
Okay.
You should really look into it. It is the linchpin for STEM curriculum programs across the country right now.
Wow.
Because it is fun for the kids. They utilize hand-eye coordination and obviously a bunch of technology, but there's math involved, there's science, right? The core principles for STEM. And they're trying to remotely fly the drone into a goal, and the opposition is trying to prevent that. And there's defenders, like a soccer match and everything.
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so what happens at Drone Fest?
Drone Fest, there was a wonderful grand opening ceremony where, first of all, before I say that, it was a host for the quarterfinals of the international FIDA drone soccer tournament. So there were teams from all over the world: South Korea, Mexico, Canada, Singapore, I believe, and a few others that I'm not remembering. But there were a good 6 or 7 different. Obviously, the U.S. was well represented, and they played against each other. That was all day Saturday and parts of Sunday. But Friday night, 2 Fridays ago, it was a grand opening ceremony. We had a DJ who was also a violinist. NBC, the local affiliate, was live streaming the event. We had some drone soccer apparatus set up in the middle with nice glowing lights and all that. There was a larger drone track that was around the high school. It was at Palm Springs High School. So at the football field and track, we were able to use that space to put on a nice performance for the kids. And it ended with a nice light show. One of those nice synchronized, coordinated ones that are eventually going to replace fireworks everywhere. And it was good. It was a tremendous show. It was a great way to get exposure. The mayor was involved. The head superintendent of the school system was involved as well. And it was just a great positive event for the community.
So I think I'm a licensed drone. Like I took a test online and I can fly a drone for non-commercial license.
Oh, the non-commercial license.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's under it's 249 grams or something like that. So that was a few hours of work. What goes into a curriculum for, young high school, college? Like what are they learning?
That's a great question. I liked to look at that question and the application from an educational standpoint backwards. And what I mean by that is we started in the field and then brought that experience back to the classroom to show the possibility of the career development potential within that. So as an example, in real estate, right? A licensed drone pilot could have a perfectly viable career just within the real estate space, helping agents with listings, contractors with renovation projects to show before and after. The drone perspective is just unique, and it provides a nice, cool touch and a way to market your work and your products to get other prospective clients. So a pilot just within that space can have a 6-figure annual income, whether they set up a business or they worked for an entity, and we show them how they would accomplish that on the day-to-day. What would it take? How do you set up for a project? What are the weather conditions? Did you submit your flight plan to the FAA? We show them the necessary criteria to be in that position, and then once they're in that position, how to execute based on the skills that they've learned.
Oh, okay. It's a lot of you're teaching business skills to enter that space.
Totally.
From your experience with it.
Absolutely.
Wow.
In my experience, whether you're an employee or you're working for yourself, if you have that type of a business approach, you'll be more successful, most likely.
That's so valuable. I wish as a young person that the reality that you can make anything into a job, almost was really taught to me and that I could see the paths. Yeah, I think that I just didn't have that for me, or maybe I wasn't looking at the time. I don't know, but to know that there's a path to success and that you can do something like that and what that looks like, huge.
So the idea with the curriculum is to show that type of exposure once a week, ideally like on a Friday or a Monday, right? And even to be able to incorporate some field trips or site visits, or if it's the right type of partner, to be able to come on to the school property to show them. One week it'll be real estate, the next week it might be security, the week after that it might be someone that is in the photography space, they like to cover parties and promotional events and stuff like that. There are about 25 to 30 different industries that drone technology is already prevalent, and we try to expose them to as many as we possibly can.
I think my earliest memory of seeing a drone for sport thing was racing inside of a stadium.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, I would love that if I didn't have to pay for it, if I damaged it.
100%.
These things were going so fast and they were flying through, these curves, and I was like, oh, it's like Star Wars, and I would love to do that.
Say that. Funny you should say that. There was a Star Wars theme at the Drone Fest. And so literally with the lights and the neon, and then Skip's got a wonderful class where they actually do choreography on Star Wars type of battles with the lightsabers and the whole thing. So the somersaulting and the music playing and the drones flying, and anyway, it's funny that you said Star Wars, but that's exactly the feel. Sure.
What's the most unexpected way drones have transformed traditional security practices?
The ability to go from A to B that much quicker changes the whole process. In addition to that, to be able to put a drone about 200 feet up in the air, you can see a very, very nice circumference of square footage around your asset. For example, cars coming and going, people coming and going, people who maybe aren't where they should be or trespassing, right? And with technology, imagine being able to use a drone at night with an infrared scan, see the heat imagery of a person trying to hide or to get in a door that they're not supposed to, identify that in real time, and in the process keep humans safe. That revolutionizes the game.
Yeah, definitely. So another question here. In your opinion, what's a common misconception about drone technology that you'd like to debunk?
Unfortunately, every commercial that you see has imagery of someone using the drones the wrong way. Unfortunately.
Okay.
And to go with it, unfortunately, it seems every time there's a news story about drones, it's someone doing something wrong, or it's being used in a war situation, which I hate that, right? Drones kill more people now in wars than people do almost. And that's not the vision that I think is great. But nonetheless, it is what it is. So we try to keep people safe through the use of drones, not hurt people.
I see. And how do you envision the role of drones evolving in the next 5 to 10 years, especially concerning public safety?
You're going to see drones everywhere. You're going to see drones delivering pizzas. You're going to see drones delivering, it's already starting to happen. Amazon, all of the major retailers in the world have either implemented drone technology into their delivery to cut costs and or be more efficient in delivering their products to their clients. If they haven't already evaluated that, they will. You're starting to see in law enforcement drones used not only for surveillance and safety reasons, but again, to keep their troops out of harm's way. Hostage situations, bomb threats being the obvious ones that come to mind. But sometimes it's just not knowing what you're up against, right? And so you can use the technology to gather information, relay back to the command team in real time. You're going to see drones that's how we're going to apply drones. But you're going to see drones everywhere.
I see.
Even drone taxis.
Drone taxis.
Waymos in the sky.
So they're transporting humans.
Yep. Yeah.
Unmanned.
Unmanned. It's already rolled out in places like Abu Dhabi and parts of Europe. There are drone taxis that are operational right now.
Wow. So for my own curiosity, there's been a lot of news lately about mysterious drones, especially over government facilities. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, they're also saying that it's jamming their ability to get close, to track.
I think, in my opinion, I know is going to be a little contrarian on this. I think all of that was for good.
For good. Okay.
I believe that we were trying a few things in a defense capacity.
So you believe it's our tech?
I do. And I believe that we have to utilize that type of technology to protect ourselves against any type of strike. It would make sense that we would need to troubleshoot some things. Again, this is just one man's theory, but it would make sense to me that we would want to troubleshoot some things and also to be able to store drones underwater from the stories that you've heard, right? So that makes sense to me as a protection, not as a nefarious situation.
I see. Okay, awesome. Sort of along that same vein, I guess this is away from drones a bit. What are your thoughts about the other phenomenon, like that with the tech that we, traveling at these insane speeds and maneuvers that we don't understand the physics around?
Right, like you mentioned drone racing, right? Those drones are going 200 miles an hour,
Mm-hmm.
and the only way that you could see them is with the neon lights that are around them, right? And so
They're going 200 miles an hour?
some of them do. Very expensive piece of machinery, but the motors on those things and it can pivot on a dime, up, down, around, no problem. So it brings up a broader issue of counter intelligence, counter drone surveillance and stuff like that to be able to defend against that type of action. But the FAA has pretty good rules around and a nice structure around what we can and can't do as pilots. So when things are outliers, that can be picked up and monitored. So, but for good old fashioned commercial business use, your standard operating drones at normal speeds are going to do the trick for us.
I see. Yeah. Well, Jason, we're going to move on to the final segment of this show, where we get to learn a little bit about what you like in the San Gabriel Valley.
Awesome.
So, Jason, this is what we call the SGV3, and we get to learn your favorite places to eat in the San Gabriel Valley. So, what would be number one?
Number one is cheating, but I'm going to put Paris Baguette at the top because not only is it awesome, the environment, but I've been there so many times now that if I didn't put it in the top three, I'd be remiss.
Okay. What do you like to get there?
I am a caramel macchiato kind of guy on the coffee side.
Okay.
And then they have probably the best, what are the French cookies called? Macaroons.
Oh, yes.
Oh, the macaroons. Did they just melt?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. And the second place?
I would pick Houston's in Pasadena.
Okay.
Because again, I've been there so many times, a lot of times with work, meeting clients there, troubleshooting problems on projects and stuff like that.
And Houston's is like a steakhouse, or is it a steakhouse?
It is.
Am I correct? They have a Hawaiian ribeye?
They do.
Okay. That's what I would get there.
That makes sense. Yeah. My third place is a place called Dina's in Pasadena on Los Robles. And what's the cross street there? It'll come to me. It's on Los Robles though. A place called Dina's. It's an old school kind of burger style setup with the indoor, outdoor, concrete, sitting kind of situation. Really cool. But they've got wonderful burgers. They've got wonderful burritos and things like that. Great kind of feel-good home style kind of cooking. Great for lunch. Great for a quick dinner, which I'm always on the move, it seems like. So I would recommend Dina's as my third.
Awesome. I never heard of it, but Dina, like I've heard people shorten or refer to themselves as coming from Dina.
Yes.
I'm from Dina,
or the Dina.
The Dina, yeah. I actually live in Pasadena, but I have to qualify that I live in East Pasadena, and which, like you said in the beginning, there's different pockets of the city.
Completely different field on the east side than on the west side.
Yeah, and the west side has north and south too, right?
Totally.
Yeah. So, well, Jason, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your story with us. If you want to get in touch with you or acquire your services, what's the best way to do that?
Check us out on our website, dronestrategicpartners.com, or you can email us at info@dronestrategicpartners.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason, for coming today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, there you go. Another episode in the books for you. I still have that Terminator 2 music in my mind when I think of the dog, but this was an interesting conversation, both in what advances there are in security, but also what's to come. You've already seen the changes everywhere in terms of AI and technology, and I agree with Jason that probably we're going to see more of these drones. Like it's just inevitable in terms of cost, efficiency, and even safety. That this is where we're headed. So whether we like it or not. Well, if you like this kind of content, please subscribe and don't forget to like and share. And if you want to check out the full catalog of episodes, check out our website, mysgv.net. And until next week, we'll see you then. Thank you for joining us on the MySGV podcast. Check out more of our content on our website, mysgv.net. This show was produced by Scott Wormuth, directed by Russell Mano, edited by Victoria Allers, and original music by Yone OG. If you'd like to join us next week as we capture and share more stories from our diverse community, feel welcome.
Nice matter. No kind of matter.